So today I'm going to be demonstrating how to apply a splint onto a mid-fracture of the radius bone. So first I'm going to show how to assemble it. So you're going to fold these two in and insert the tabs into the back. And then you just push them to the side. And then you fold these in. So that's for the assembly. And then during my preparation, I'm going to put the two towels in. Okay. So that's how you prepare the splint. Now I'm going to ask you to support your arm. We're going to apply this. So if you could just hold it underneath. And I'm going to give you this bandage here for comfort in your hand. And to secure it, I've cut up pieces of a t-shirt instead of the triangular bandage. So we're going to assume that the fracture is right in the middle. I'm going to start by applying two bandages on below and above the fracture, and I'm gonna make it fairly tight, but if it's uncomfortable you can tell me. This one, and then we're gonna put one right above. And I'm tying all my knots on the side of this foot. It's too tight?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm putting all the knots on the side of the splint here so that it's not in front of the injury. And now I'm going to secure it on top here. And I'm going to get the towel in. Right there. And lastly, we're going to put one at her hand. If you wanted to immobilize the thumb, you would pass it through. But in this case, she doesn't have any thumb injury. And I'm going to just secure her wrist. And that's it for stabilizing it. And now I'm going to add a sling, so that she can't move her arm in front of her. I'm going to do the standard sling. I've already put a knot in my triangular bandage. And we're going to go ahead and tie it in the back. Make sure that this is at a good 90-degree angle. And tie a bow right here. That's it. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate how to do the 3 different types of slings. I'm going to start with the standard sling. So I'm going to place it underneath the arm. And I've already made a knot at the corner of the sling. So this, I pass it under the arm. And now we're going to go behind on the injured shoulder. It feels secure at the elbow. And we're going to make sure that your hand is inside the sling. So now I ask you to let go. It feels tight enough?
Yep.
Okay, and I'll just make a knot at the back. And now I'm going to secure it with a swath. So this is just a cut up t-shirt that I'm using. And I'm going to put it over the injured arm in the middle. And pass right under the uninjured arm. Just relax your arms, okay. So now I'm going to ask you to breathe in and breathe out. It's not too tight?
No.
Perfect. So this is just so that the arm can't move. So this is good. Now we're going to move on to the tubular sling. Again, we'll put the corner at the elbow, and I'm going to ask you to hold it up, your arm onto your chest. And this one, it goes over the non-injured shoulder, and we're going to pass it underneath. So just let go. Perfect, you can hold it again. Just like that. And this passes behind the back. And I'm going to make sure the hand is well inside. And again, you just tie it. And after each one of these slings, you can check the PMSC. So first I'm going to check his pulse. It's good. Your motor, can you wiggle your fingers? And you can feel this sensation. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to check for your cap refill. It's good, it's under 2 seconds. So that's it for the tubular sling. Okay, so lastly we're going to do the cuff and collar sling. So what you do is you cross over the triangular bandage like this, and then you put the 2 loops together in front of each other. So now I'm going to put this on your injured arm, and you hold it right here. I can adjust this. And now you just tie it in the back. And like all the other slings, you can add a swath to this as well. Feels good? Mm-hmm. Yep. That's it for the slings. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate the secondary assessment. Our athlete is unconscious and he's prone, and I have an assistant holding and stabilizing his head. So what I'm going to do is check for DCAT BTRSD, so deformities, concussions, abrasions, punctures, burns, tenderness, swelling, and lacerations. So I'm going to start at his head and see if there's any deformation. I'm going to be really gentle while doing this, and I won't be able to get everywhere on his head since he's on the ground. I'm going to check his face, the structures of his forehead, his nose, and his mandible. Next, I'm going to go to the neck, and I can't check his chest, but I can feel his neck and his clavicle to make sure everything is in line. Next, I'm going to check his shoulders, see if they're round so they're not dislocated. That's good. And next, I'm going to go down to the lower back, and we'll check his back. It's good. And I'm going to try to get as much as I can of his abdomen. So I'm going to check for any lumps, tenderness, or swelling. And now I'm going to do the rib cage compress for his breathing. It's good. So after that I palpated the lower back, I'm going to move on to the pelvis. I'm going to compress the pelvis bones and check for symmetry. To the legs. Check for any fractures or swelling or anything that I mentioned earlier. And every time that I feel underneath a body part, I check my gloves for blood. And I have to check for the Medicare alert bracelets at the ankles, at the neck, and at his wrists. So now I'm going to do the PMSC. I'm going to ask him, can you wiggle your toes? He won't because he's unconscious. Can you feel this? And now I'm going to check his cap refill. It's good. And I'm going to check for his pulse. I'm going to repeat that on the other leg, and then I'm going to move up to the arm. Same thing. Look for any injuries. And now I'm going to check my motor. Can you move your fingers? Can you feel this? And I'm going to check his cap refill. And now for his pulse. Also, one thing I forgot to mention when I was at the head, I had to check for the cerebral spinal fluid in both his ears and his nose, as well as blood. And that is all.